run out here and reiterate that nobody is to come in here and disturb
Okay,
us.
so we are back on.
Okay, I'll be right back.
So, okay, let me go and hit the site. And I'm going to use the, the terminal, and I'm going to do it, so let me go ahead and get that. So this will be part 2. Anyway, it breaks it up after 30 minutes.
Sure.
You know how that works.
Oh, yeah.
Windows is a bad one for the 4096 doing video, the 4 gig. So I'm going to bring up terminal. Okay, so we're going to do, I'm in the bash. Okay, you go into the bash shell. Okay, so we're at what is this? Vote. We're gonna go tracer, trace route. www.michigan. I think I'm getting a Biden moment here. I was unable to spell Michigan. What good is that, huh? Michigan.com. Okay. Yeah, let me ping it. www. Yeah. So you went off that site. Can I bring that up again?
Oh, the wrong one. Go.
Michigan.gov. That's what I did wrong. Yeah, that is a government site, so. Okay, go ahead.
All right, let's get into
proceed. Okay, so let me get this back up. This site, vote.michigan.gov, it's a government website with information related to the vote that happens. So it's going to be your voter information. And then this gives you a means to test and see if you received and requested absentee ballots and if they were returned and received. So the person's name here would be the one that we just looked at the obituary for. And the birth month is April, it says. And the year is 1946. The zip code I got from the list of voter names that are in question here. So there you go. It comes up. It's good. You can see that the application for the absentee ballot was received, mailed out, and the absentee ballot was returned, and the person
Received, yeah.
has an obituary. Same mechanism you can do over and over again with lots of names, and I've checked them. I have lists on my computer that I've gotten from a variety of sources. Some of the names I have verified, many I have not, but I'll tell you this, all the ones on the list that I've checked have been fraudulent. They've showed up this way. So without going through every single name in the list, I can't say definitively, yes, these are all fraudulent votes. But at this point, the ones I've tested I've tested probably 30 or 40 personally. And the list I have, it keeps getting longer. It's up over probably 4,000 just in that one county alone. So it's a real thing. It's there. You just saw it. And
the other thing is too, keep in mind out there, I've allowed myself to be bombarded with media the last week just to try to absorb as much information as possible, even if it's bad information like from the media. But I have not heard one sentence about a Trump vote being illegal. Not one. It's all about this because people know that this is real. You can see it out there. Everybody's seen it in their local elections. So
I wanted to also point out that my source actually that directed me to this particular place knows, has impeccable integrity. So that's why I'm down here. So I also wanted to tell you that, you know, there are people aware of this. Epoch Times yesterday at 1 p.m. Actually did a of exactly what you are doing now. These guys figured it out way before that. I think it was maybe Thursday.
I can't
So-
take credit for having discovered this though. It's a group thing, you know. It's a
Okay.
people on the internet working together.
Yeah, so this
And then trying
started
to
happening
disseminate the
Wednesday,
information.
Thursday. You would
Yeah,
say.
yeah. The video that I made, whatever we made, Greg and I, that whatever day that was, it was the night before is when I discovered this particular way of detecting voter fraud. But again, I can't take credit for it personally, but I will say that we were probably one of the first to try to put it out
Let's
there.
can we show just the random list that you have of all the thousands and thousands of
I mean,
names?
now right now, again, this is it right here. These are the ones that are confirmed
We can't see it. You have
as
to put
having
that
voted.
over.
Yeah, right. I gotta bring it over on the other monitor anyway.
No, you can see that really
Yeah,
well.
these are not all tested, but you can see the list is huge. The ones I've tested have worked, and at this point in time, this file is up to, let's see, 1,300 and almost 1,400 entries. And then I have a much larger list of people that are still in question and haven't been confirmed, but these are legitimate Michigan voters here. They're dead, so they could generate a ballot by hitting that button, but these haven't been tested. And so this one here.
Anybody out there that wants to get into all this can get in and test all these
Yeah,
as
so
well.
we got 14,550 here. So as you go down this list and you test these names, the idea would be to either remove them or then move them over to that other list.
Is this from one county?
This is, I think this is all of Michigan, this one here.
Okay.
So you have a total of how many names?
This list right here is 14,550.
Okay, so we're not saying all those 14,000 have voted because we haven't checked.
Those are ones that are ripe for fraud.
Yeah, okay, but the ones that you have tested, you would say how many?
Okay, so there's two lists. I just want to make sure we're clear on this. So I haven't wasted too much time testing on that list I just showed you because those ones are untested. The second list of over 1,400 names, those ones are confirmed as having been used for fraud by somebody, not by me personally. On that list, there's probably 30 or 40 that I personally have checked, just like that one you just saw
Even
there.
if it's 3, that is way. If it's 1,
Sure.
That's like I
maybe.
said in my introduction. If there's
So if you
one
got 40
illegal vote,
No, I've got 30
You
or
got
40
to-
personally, and that
Yeah.
list, and I've yet to come across one on that list that doesn't work. 1,450.
that means so he has a list of 1,450 deceased citizens here, and he randomly picks 40 names, and all 40 names voted.
Okay.
So right now, it's 100% hit rate.
Yeah.
Okay?
I
Our
guess-
samples are hitting 100%.
Yeah, what we're trying to say is that the stuff that I'm finding appears to be valid, but again, it needs to be tested, and that's all part of the process. But we've definitely found a pattern, and it's obvious.
Well,
There's more than enough of it in my mind.
Yeah. I think that you have enough from what I see, and I'm checking the different URLs and making sure that they are truly the same. You have enough to show that there was fraud, which is a crime.
Systematic fraud
Well, systematic fraud in Michigan. Now,
in Michigan. We'll go to Pennsylvania here in a minute.
okay, so we haven't hit Pennsylvania. So, but this, I do believe, and I'm being a skeptic here. I'm being, I'm trying to be
I understand.
a skeptic. Because if you're going to build a case, you want to be the defense and the prosecution, and you want to be able to. If
Oh,
you're
right.
going to prosecute a case, you want to know what.
Well,
you know,
I want it to be
holes.
scrutinized. I have
Yeah.
nothing to hide here.
Same here, and
There are no hard questions. This is all true.
yeah,
This is all real,
This is why this video,
and it's all public.
absolutely.
Let's look at some Pennsylvania stuff.
Let's do it.
Okay, yeah, we haven't touched upon this, and
So-
so this is going to be an interesting.
This
one
is
here.
data.pa.gov.
Okay, let me go ahead and hit you there. Okay, so you are on opendata.pa, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. That is a government website. I'm familiar with that website. Okay, go ahead. And that's the mail-in ballot. So, okay.
So this is a database of mail-in ballot requests and whether they were returned or not. And one thing we don't have on this database is names, so we can't go find obituaries and do it nearly as easily as we can with the Michigan site, but there are certain things we can do pretty easily to show that it's obvious that there's things going on. So you can start by applying some filters to the data. So if you look over here, the site's actually pretty nice. You can create filters on any of the fields here and narrow down the data to whatever it is you're looking for. So what we're going to look for is ballots that are returned. So I'm going to say return date is after 8/1/2020. That would cover any mail-in ballot that came in for this election. We're going to look at county name is Allegheny. Now, I'm going to look at people that were born before, let's say, what would be a good place to go back? 100 years old?
Yeah.
Let's go to 1920. Let's go to 110 years old. How about that? 1910. So now you're going to see that, let's see, there's 38 entries there that were over 110.
Really,
that were
38
returned.
people in Allegheny County that are 110 years old.
Well, according to this, there are.
And they all voted.
Yeah, now a lot of those 1800 ones ain't no good, but you can start right here with this. We got a guy from, these are real dates. So here's a dude that was born 6/21 of 1800. Here's one 6/18, 1890, 3/13, 1894, etc. We don't.
I've never met anybody.
No,
No.
Personally.
I don't think we need to find an obituary
Yeah.
to know that those people probably aren't with us anymore. So
Let's go across the columns and show them what all
go
that
ahead,
means.
Go ahead and yeah, let's take a look at the
so
at the columns. So
right.
so let's go ahead and drill down each column. Column 1 says what?
Well, this is all Allegheny County. That's what
Okay.
we're looking at. That's what we filtered everything else out. This applicant party designations, whatever
Democrat,
party they're
Republican.
registered with, and then the date of birth is obviously the date of birth. Now they'll tell you that this 11/1800 number is actually a false entry because they're protecting a person's date of birth due to domestic violence or something like that. So we can remove those and still see that there's a bunch of people that are over 110. So we'll just create another filter right here. We'll change it to is, and then we'll get rid of or is not. And then we'll put that 11/1800 number. Now we have only valid names. And so you have 11 people, 110 and over, just on this little list here alone. And it's not easy. And we can go back and see here, anything from here back is 120 years old. Plus.
And they all voted.
All voted. These are
So
we're only
show
looking
me the column where they voted.
Yeah, that's ballot return here.
Yep,
So they mailed a
that's
ballot out, they returned the ballot. And here's the thing. These filters are here and you can look at any weird combination of stuff you want. And so we're just looking at anybody in Allegheny County that voted that is over 120 years old. And we're also removing all the ones that they tell you are not valid. The
Can you go to-
1/1800.
Like me.
Yeah, Lehigh or Montgomery.
Okay, so let's see.
Let's do Montgomery.
And Montgomery is usually that's mostly Philadelphia, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to see how many... They've got 320-year-olds in Montgomery.
Let's try Lehigh.
Did I spell that correctly?
Uh,
I think I didn't. Let's just back that out. All right, I think I'm spelling that incorrectly.
Can we do a query with just this whole state of Pennsylvania?
Sure.
Go up the count?
Oh yeah, I'll just drop the county. So that's in fact what I just did now. So the county's dropped, all the other filters are still in place, and we've got 35 120-year-olds in the state.
so there's 35 people in Pennsylvania
And now remember,
that's 120 years old that actually received a ballot and turned it back in, and it was counted.
and understand what we're doing here. This is we're just looking for the easiest case. There's no additional research because I think everybody can agree that 120 on is not a valid vote. So
Yeah.
once you get into the where they're actually,
I think there's one
Once
person
this is-
in the world that's 120
Yeah,
years old.
once this is professionally researched by the proper people, by the proper authorities, it will call into question tens of thousands of these votes of people that only lived into their 20s or 30s or moved away or became felons or whatever. But they're all still on this list. There's probably more ineligible voters on the rolls in Pennsylvania than there is eligible voters by what we're seeing
incidentally,
here. And the trends all agree. Everything's trending in the same direction.
Now, just to point out another interesting thing, I found out earlier today, from my research anyway, and this may not be correct, I'm not trying to win a court case here, but from what I could tell, 113 years old was the oldest person living in Pennsylvania. So if you're willing to accept that there's no voters older than 113 years old in Pennsylvania, then you are also willing to accept that we have 236 fraudulent votes right there.
Yeah.
Because I changed the date of birth to reflect anybody that would be 113 or older.
And this was one method. So far, we have two different states. We're proving the same anomaly.
Well, let me show you a really interesting anomaly, and it's going to take me a second. But if we go to Allegheny County, because I found this today, and this is why you're out there and you're interested in these sort of things. I want to see some research in this age group. It's age 70 to 79 in Allegheny County, and you'll see why here in just a sec. So we'll get rid of that one. Change it to... There we go. So look, if you look at the number of absentee ballots requested in Allegheny County by people between the ages of 70 and 79, exactly 60,000. That doesn't mean anything in and of itself, but it is a very round number and very questionable in my mind.
It's statistically impossible to punch in a random group, a random age group, and get exactly 60,000 mail-in ballots. Exactly.
So there's
not
some...
61,312, 60000.
Well, they say that most numbers, okay, in a random or a sequence, have to have a 1 in them somewhere.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, did you know
that's a fact.
You know
Yes,
that law?
that's a fact.
Yeah, that's a law. That's I forget what law that's called.
Bedford's Law is what it's called, I think,
Yeah.
if we're talking about the same thing. But in any event, this age 70 to 79 in Allegheny County age bracket is very interesting. You'll find that I looked at the number of absentee ballots returned versus just the overall population in Allegheny
So
County.
you looked at census data.
Census data, correct. Not registration data for voters, because that's full of false data, as we know.
So
You'll
you
find...
have census.
Yeah, and the census data is showing, if you look at this website's telling you the number of mail-in ballot applications that they received being 60,000. It's by far the highest group that requested the mail-in ballot applications, higher than 80 plus and much higher than any age group below. You go down to 60 to 69, now it's 43. You go down to 50 to 59, now it's 31. So that 70 to 79 bracket had an extraordinarily high number of people requesting these mail-in ballots, that I have a feeling that 70 to 79 bracket's where you're going to find a lot of deceased voters at.
and also probably a lot of incapacitated citizens that are in nursing
brought up.
homes.
Yes, this
Yeah.
was just brought up.
Oh yeah,
by,
right. Harvesting
by,
ballots. Right.
Harvesting
Yeah,
ballots.
so this was
Believe
brought
me,
up.
they do that here in Fayette County, and I know the guys by first name that go around and do it every election here.
Yeah, so I've seen this myself in prior elections.
Yep.
Where they just go into these homes, they fill out the ballots, they tell them, "You just sign your name."
Yeah.
You know what I
They
mean?
don't even check the signature.
These people cannot fight for themselves.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right. That's the other thing is in Pennsylvania, I think they did it against federal law. They eliminated signature verification.
Well,
So
yeah, no, I don't think they eliminated the ID. I think they eliminated.
well, I know the ID was gone.
Yeah.
But there's supposed to be signature verification when
I
you
know
show
when
up
I
at the
voted
polls.
in person, when I showed up in person, I had to sign.
Yeah, me
I
too.
did. Okay, so we don't know about but like you were saying, the census data. Okay, like you were saying in that age group, you know, you may find dead people, but you are definitely going to find people who are in those type of homes.
Right.
Oh,
Who
yeah.
are susceptible to, and that's abuse. I don't care what you know. When you go in,
It's fraud and abuse, and once again, it goes against probably the majority of those people's families.
And let me point out another thing that I found, with this statistical analysis that I thought was odd. Once you get up to the age 60 group, so anything from the 50 to 59, 40 to 49 and below, you're looking at a return rate of around 82, 83%, meaning that of the absentee ballots requested, 82 to 83% were actually returned. Once you hit that 60 to 69 age group, it just shoots up to 87 and stays there for every other age group, including 80 plus.
Because those older age groups are easier to
manipulate
harvest.
and harvest, exactly. And also there's obviously that 70 to 79 group. The reason I keep looking at that is that's probably where you're going to find, because of that age, the most recent deceased people. So it makes it easier to look at recent obituaries and do the little game we were playing with Michigan to generate ballots. I'm sure they did a similar thing in
On an
Pennsylvania.
industrial scale,
Right.
by what
Yeah.
we suspect is foreign computer banks, which means a bank of hundreds of
basically-
people in a building sitting behind computers doing this in a
This
foreign
is-
country.
This is something that I had heard the Pennsylvania state I forget her title. Nevertheless, she said that they hired a third-party source. Okay, so that was an interesting. She said the DNC, to collect.
Without
ballots.
disclosing what that
yeah.
third-party
Yeah,
source
yeah.
is.
So that third party source could be a third party source, go ahead and it's using a fourth party source, and a fifth party source to go ahead. There were more than enough people that asked me, just myself in my area. I had over maybe 500 people ask me, how can I, go ahead, I'm from this area. Can I go ahead and donate my money? Okay. And, they were turned away. This is very.
This was the first election that I can remember going to. First of all, I seen two things that were unusual when I went to the polls. The first thing was, usually you have to run a people shoving election paraphernalia in your face.
Yep.
Here, vote for this guy, vote for that
There
guy.
was none of that.
There was nothing.
Yeah, there was none of that where
There
I
was
was
nobody
at.
campaigning at the polls on the sidewalk before you go in the building, because once you go in that building, you're not allowed to campaign. Outside, it's free game. Nobody. The second thing is there was no poll watchers.
Yeah.
None.
Let me throw
And
one
I
more thing.
personally know the poll watchers from both parties in the precinct that I vote, which is also the largest precinct in this county. There was none. I was standing in line with one of them, and I said, "Why aren't you working?" He said, "They won't let me."
Standing in line.
So
is the
they
key
actually
word.
told the sort of like they have judge of elections, which works at the polls. They make a decision. They're if you can do a provisional ballot or whatever. But there are actually people who volunteered to go ahead and watch.
Yes.
Okay, and that has been the biggest gripe. Okay, was in not just this state, but in other states as well.
Well, I know that the DOJ is working on the poll watcher problem right now. They had
We hope.
Yeah,
We
we hope.
But let me throw a question out there, just a rhetorical one, if you will. We have, looking at their own data, something like 40% of the population, not registered voters, but the population, voting by mail. Why were there lines on election day at all? And they were long. If you took 40% of the population out of play right off the top, there should have been no lines. You should have been able to walk in and vote and walk out. So just think about it.
Right. 40% would mean that the actual in-person turnout would not be much more than a primary election.
Yeah, right. If you think about, even if you said that a very high number of registered voters turned out, it would do far less than a regular election because you took 40% of the population out of play right off the top by their own numbers.
Right. Is there anything else that we want to see on here?
I don't have anything else specific to show other than to show you that these mechanisms are here. They're easy enough to use. I'm going to keep digging at it, and if I find anything useful, I'm sure that we'll share it. But I would encourage everybody to do the same thing. It's all there. It's
Right.
easy to
And
look
also, I want to point out that Scott is going to make all this information available. Once this video comes out and we put it public, it'll be on my Facebook page. We're also going to share it around to some of the local legislators who are going to help us with this. And the information's out there. We're going to make it available. You, with basic computer skills on the net, can go see all this stuff for yourself.
And we all recommend that you go ahead and you do this. You call wherever area you are. You call your state legislator, okay? You call the DOJ. By the way, the Pittsburgh field office number for the DOJ is 412-432-4000. That's the FBI. Flood their lines, okay? Because basically, this information, and as I validated and I would sit here as a witness, okay, is showing us through the internet that something, definitely is an anomaly. So we're getting our evidence through the computer screen from each governmental website. Now, whether or not what's behind that or was taken care of or not, we do not know. We know that this is an anomaly. And there are many anomalies to go through. But if you want to go ahead and you want to actually validate what these gentlemen have done, you could go to Epoch Times, and you can go into the November 10th at 1 p.m. and the Epoch Times actually watched their video, and they have found, what was it, 100,000?
They found 100,000. Also,
in Michigan.
We don't know if it was related to our early release of this discovery or not, but when Rudy Giuliani had his press conference on Saturday afternoon, he referenced the Allegheny County information that we're showing you right now.
Yeah.
He referenced this information. Now, we can't take credit for that, but we do know that they are aware of it. But we want the public to be aware of it, because we need pressure going upward, not to sway the DOJ to do something about it, but to show them that the people are supporting their efforts to straighten this out.
Well, I can only tell you that after I spoke with you, I spoke with Dan Crenshaw's office, and they are aware of this as well.
Okay.
This particular incident.
Right.
Okay, or the particular method. Okay, so this is more of a little bit. I'm here to establish more credibility for you, and to get you a better video out there. But also, I am going to take this, to some sources as well. So.
Good.
Best way to do it is a video, and you are witnesses. You know what I mean, and we're all witnesses.
Once this gets out there, I encourage everybody to download this onto their hard drive so it can't be erased. Share it to everybody. Share it to the dog catcher, to the police. Share it to everybody you can get it to. This needs to get out there. And once again, this is just a very, very small snippet of corruption and fraud that is blatant out there. There's all kind of other ways.
We haven't even touched on the electronic voting machines yet. And incidentally, I want to throw something out there I came across last night that maybe people can research out there. I saw a database that was right out of one of those machines. It was obtained by a court order for some candidate that was challenging an election somewhere. these are the machines that are used in a lot of jurisdictions, made by Diebold, I believe. They store the vote tally as a floating point number, not an unsigned integer, a floating point number. And so if you know what that means, it can be negative, it can be positive, it can have a fractional value. So it's not just 1, 2, 3, 4, it can be 1.01 or 1.1. It makes no sense to store votes that way. It's a waste of memory resources in the computer. Any competent coder would not do it that way unless there was a reason. What that allows for is for you to apply percentages and weights to votes and do all sorts of untoward things that they should not be doing. If that was written properly, written in a way that people can look at it, analyze it, and have confidence in it, vote tally would be counted as an unsigned integer, not as a floating point value. That's a giant red flag.
Yeah, when you as a programmer, if I'm going to count 1 as a 1, for instance, I work in a bank. So in a bank system, okay, they allow you, because of the stock market, you could go four integers.
Right, four
okay?
decimal places. Right.
4 decimal places, which could equal to like a 1%.
Right.
Because that's banks utilize.
Right. My point is,
fractions.
votes are whole numbers. They're
they are whole
They're
numbers.
0 or 1, and that is it.
That is it.
And you add them up, and then you have a whole number. There's no
Yeah.
fractional vote, and there's no negative vote. So for them to have stored the information in that format is either a gross waste of memory resources or just incompetent coding or nefarious, but none of those things should be the case.
I kind of touched upon that myself last night, who made these machines.
Right.
And I went ahead and I looked at previous court cases. 2011, there was a court case. 2014, there was a court case about these machines and the software. So these are all things. There are so many things to look at.
Any good exterminator will tell you, if you see a mouse, there's more than that guy running around.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is just one little mouse that we found in the garage.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
This is just the tip.
That's a good
All right.
analogy. That's a good analogy.
And let's just use certain people's own platitudes against them. If you say every single vote should count, we must count all votes, then you have to also eradicate any fraudulent vote, because one fraudulent vote is the same thing as one person that would have voted the opposite way being denied their vote. So we're talking about people being disenfranchised here, and it should concern you regardless of what side you're on. And we have evidence of it. It's right there. There are dead people voting. You can see it. It's
Those
right there.
are not votes. That's
Well, that's the problem.
outright fraud. It's an attack on our republic.
That's a criminal act.
I do not use the word democracy, because this is not a democracy. We live in a representative republic.
Yeah.
All right? Why do you think the Democratic Party? Mob rule is democracy. What have they been doing? Mob rule. Republicanism is what this country was founded on.
Well, I just want to go from my viewpoint. I'm not going. The viewpoint I'm having, and I'm agreeing with all of this, is I have to be totally
Right.
We
not
understand
on the
that.
left, not on the right. So I agree 100% that you have uncovered an anomaly that is a potential crime.
I'm trying to take that position too, even though my vote may have been one way or the other, and I'm sure everybody knows which way it was. But
Yes, I'm saying same here.
at the
but
same time,
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
If this happened to Biden, I myself, believe it or not, my moral code would be doing the same thing.
If
You
the
know,
fraud,
because-
if there was massive fraud
From the Republicans.
from the Republican side, which once I'm going to point out, they haven't found one fraudulent Trump vote yet. Not one.
But
And there's bazillions of them out there. They're all for Biden. But if it did go for Trump, all this fraud, the election process would still be invalid.
yeah,
And that's what our problem
and,
is
and,
here.
and we would all speak up.
The
with
problem for me is this invalid process is also ushering in 1,000 years of darkness that's going to come with this socialism and eventually communism. That's where I'm at. I'm not telling you that I am biased. This son of a bitch has got to be put to rest. This has got to be investigated.
Yeah.
the longer this goes on, the harder it's going to be for us to turn things back around. And I think that if we're going to put on the little bit of a partisan lens right now, I want to say, do something, please. The left does things. A lot of the things they do are bad things, about the rioting and the looting. But we can't just sit back and do nothing and hope that the courts fix things, or by casting our vote that it's going to work out. We have rights and we need to exercise them. So if there's rallies, attend them. Don't loot, don't riot, but attend the rally. Make your voice heard. If there is what am I trying to say?
Call.
I just
Do
had-
it legally. Call
That's
your
where I'm at.
representatives.
Yeah.
Call your
Flood 'em.
congressmen.
Flood
Call
'em.
them. Call them.
Email
Let them know. Get on the internet.
Right.
And also, I might want to point out, on Facebook, I've been trying to post positive comments on President Trump's posts. Fight on, sir. We're behind you as a republic. Things like that. Every time I put some positive comment on there, I get a red border
Yeah,
around my
we-
comment,
yeah,
unable to
absolutely.
post.
Yeah, absolutely.
Facebook is trying to cover this up. Twitter's trying to cover this up. Instagram's trying to cover this up, and the cabal of the news media is
Has
definitely
covered it.
covering this up. Has covered it up.
Well, I've
Get
got
out there,
yeah.
do your research. This is real.
My train of
And
thought
there's
is back
other
on that.
areas that we haven't even
Right.
found yet. You can find it.
Yeah, it's sad that we feel, as people. I think the three of us feel as this is right out of a state-run
Right,
media.
it is.
It's Pravda.
It's 100% a state-run media at this point. That's why I'm saying we need to get out there, get together, get organized, get a means of communication that's outside of this social media apparatus that we're relying on now that has obviously been compromised. We need to start boycotting companies the way the left does to us. I mean, we've got to. There's things we can do to make our
Well,
voices
there's
heard.
parlors, so I have a
Right.
thing
Yes,
on
exactly.
Friday.
There's Parler, there's MeWe, there's several new
Rumbler
ones
is
coming
another
out.
one.
Parler's overwhelmed right now. You can't even get on it because there's so many people. It's an
Rumbler.
exodus to it.
Yeah, we've got to
So-
get people organized and working towards the right outcome, because that's one thing that they do. They're organized and they make a lot of noise.
one
And
tool-
you know what? One thing I do not do is I'm not trashing Biden. I am not trashing
No, there's no need
Kamala
to.
Harris. I'm not going to do that. I'm better than that.
Right.
I know how I voted. I know, that's not what I do. I vote from, experience and the wisdom and stuff like that. And, for me to get attacked, for you to get it, there are people that are so crazy on that side of the fence that they will attack you.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't need to do that. You cannot sit down and rationalize with people.
One of the reasons that the left is so united, and this isn't the first time, there's been several times throughout the last year, okay? One of the reasons that the left is so united is because the bulk of the left, and it's worse the higher you go, have skeletons. And they're being coerced because of their past activity in certain
Well, that's
things.
one reason, but the other thing is,
And that's how the left holds everybody together, with force.
well,
And that's what
not
they're
only that
doing.
is
If
money.
we get together, we're doing it as united as patriots, out of free will.
Yeah, well, I suggest everybody, if you don't believe me, go ahead to a Democrat who actually explains this, and ran for president, and they didn't want her in, okay? But you go to Joe Rogan, and you take a look at the Hawaiian,
Tulsi Gabbard. Yeah.
and she will tell you exactly what was told to her when she came into the party and they separated her. Now, I'm not telling you that there are great Republican senators or House of Representatives either. So you have both sides, but we had somebody in there that they saw as a threat. And, I've never seen somebody get attacked in the way.
Right.
So there must have been a strike.
You want to get
must have
technical.
struck a chord somewhere.
You want to get technical. United States senators being elected by popular votes illegal anyway.
Yeah.
They were supposed to be elected by the state legislatures.
Yeah.
Because the founding fathers laid this out, so our government is predominantly governed by state legislatures. Because those individual people in those state legislatures have to walk about the community that voted them. Mm-hmm. Their offices are here in this community.
Yeah.
And if they elect a senator that goes against our beliefs, they have to look me in the face every day at the coffee shop and listen to me yelling at them because they went the wrong way. They went against what they were voted in to do. You get a senator like Bob Casey and Pat Toomey, who I'm not going to get into that, but they're elected by popular vote, which is not us. It's Philadelphia and Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
The cities are doing this. They can control the city, can't control the outlying areas. So a popular vote senator does not have to walk freely about his constituents.
Yeah.
He goes to D.C. and he hides, and he goes to his place in Harrisburg or wherever he. We get to see him. But if a senator is elected by state legislatures as per the Constitution, at least the people who put that senator in have to answer to us. So that goes back to the 13th Amendment and the Federal Reserve and the income tax, what comes out of your back pocket, paying the interest on the Federal Reserve, which is illegal. This is going way back. This is another reason I think that they all hate Trump, because he's trying to break his system up. When he said drain the swamp, he meant a lot more than just getting rid of all the dishonest people. There's dishonest things in place that have been robbing us and stealing our money and our livelihoods for the last 107 years.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen the fall.
This is degrading into a commentary, but
yeah,
that's where I'm at.
So yeah, I think we're going to end this, but you know, I mean, in Pennsylvania, I can't see the amount of votes simply because this is an oil and gas producing state. Okay, you are looking at 600,000 people losing their jobs. Okay, we're already taxed to hell and back.
The world economy and the security of this republic runs on oil and gas.
Yep, yes it does.
And with the United States becoming the predominant power in oil and gas, has seated us once again as the leader of the globe, the head of the table, the leader of the world, and the number one superpower, because it runs on oil and gas. And why do you think they want to give that away? They want, and also we almost lost the dollar as oil and gas currency to either the Chinese or Russian currency.
Yeah.
Trump stopped that.
Yeah.
He stopped that.
Well, did you see what they did to Libya? That was a great operation, by the way. When he mentioned that he wanted to get away from using the U.S. dollar, Gaddafi, what happened?
They killed him. He was to go back to the gold standard.
Yes,
which is where we need to be.
Yeah.
We need to be back to the gold standard.
Once he mentioned that, and that was a buffer.
Yeah.
You know, Libya was a buffer. Once that fell, then, you know, and you could go back to the WikiLeaks documents, into the Clinton emails, and there's no qualms about it. Okay, they were funding. The State Department was funding Qatar, and it was funding ISIS. Okay, so the rise of ISIS in Syria and the destruction of Syria and the people killed there is a result of a consequence of deciding to overthrow one government. Okay, and
Gaddafi kept the balance of power in the Middle East.
Well, exactly, and one of the reasons, you know,
and also
that's a very complex.
It's complicated over there.
But now we have peace. We have Pompeo.
Right.
We have a chance at peace.
I was going to say that the rise and the fall of all that war in the Middle East,
20 years,
was all Clinton, Bush, Obama.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Trump runs on, I'm going to stop that. He stopped it.
Yeah. Well, not only that, I think if and I'm going to be honest. Okay, let's be honest here. Let's say Trump loses legally. I would hope and pray.
If he loses legally, then that's the way it is.
That's the way it is. I'll accept that. If this is looked into, I'll accept that. But keep us out of the wars, okay?
That's not going to happen. They'll go straight back to war. Hillary Clinton was ready to start World War III with Russia in Syria.
Yeah, well...
They were ready. And Trump settled that.
Yeah, it's just interesting. But we're going to let that go for now.
Yep.
Get this video out there. It's going to be about 80 minutes. So
that's all right.
Okay, you all take care. No matter if you are a Democrat or you are a Republican or you're a liberal or you're a conservative, this video was meant for everyone. Okay, it's all inclusive. Okay, I have no gripes against anybody who voted differently than myself. Okay, we're all human beings. we need to get and just to go on. But if something's wrong and something's illegal, no matter who and what you believe in, okay, your moral code and your moral compass, when you see something, if this was Biden and this happened to Biden, I would do the same thing. So, you know, this is there are many anomalies, but we proved our point. Beyond
a reasonable
court,
doubt.
yeah,
This will stand up in court.
This would stand up in
This
court.
will stand up in court as far up as you want to push it.
Yeah, I would think so. On that, we'd like to thank you. Again, I'm here in Uniontown at GMS Custom Motorcycles, correct?
GMS Racing Engines.
Racing engines. And it is actually an amazing place. I myself, Scott Stevens, and you'll know who I am. We don't care about the backlash or whatever. What's right is right. But these men have created a beautiful business, okay? And I can't say enough for them to come out and want to talk about this. So many people who come out, they get bashed. But you know what? This is true courage. I want to tell you that. This is true courage. Get out and speak.
So many people are sending me all kind of links and what they see as evidence and everything. Stop sending me that stuff. Post it yourself and then send me a link so I can see that you posted it. I'm inundated with all this stuff coming in, right? Hundreds and hundreds of messages. Just post it yourself. It will get out there.
Yeah.
I'll leave you with that.
I want to thank you both, gentlemen, for allowing me to do this.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming.
And also, I want to thank you for the courage to go ahead and to fight.
Well, this goes right back to what I said a few minutes ago. We have to do something. We have to, all of us, or we're going to lose this country.
Right. We're going to lose our republic. Your republic's being stolen from you.
And this comes from a gentleman who worked in the industry, like myself, in the Department of Navy, under the Department of Defense, and we care. You prepare for war. You never want to go to war. We've been in war for 20 years.
You hope for peace and you prepare for war. That's what you do.
So, thank you, gentlemen, very much.
Thanks, Scott. We appreciate you coming.
Yeah, and let me put this together, and I'm going to do that real quick, and then we'll upload it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so.